Now what? Do we go welcome back? Hey,
I don't know.
ta-da! That's what we did. We just did. Hey, welcome to Sales Unscripted. I'm Brian Neal.
And I'm Margaret Heddy.
Hey, we're back just like that.
We're back
See
for
how
a
easy
very
that was?
awkward second episode.
Yeah, so we kind of did one episode so long, but we had to break it in the middle to say hi again. So nothing
Yep.
much has changed since the last time you did go to Portugal, and your husband is still an attorney, as far as we know. So that's good. And I
All
still
the
have
same.
my
Great jacket.
my great racing jacket on here.
Love it.
So let's go to some tactical. We were talking about the setup of like the kind of the why behind the what on questions last time.
Yep.
Now let's talk about those questions.
Yep, totally.
You want me to start? Or do
You
wanna-
start, you
Okay,
start.
so I'll give you a framework first.
Okay.
So we use a question bank, and you mentioned question bank last time as
Mm-hmm.
we ended the last episode. I also believe in having a bank of questions that salespeople can pull from to prep.
Oh, I like
Those
it.
of you who are not naturally curious, you need to have a bank of questions to pull from to prep. These are customized to your company. So it should be, think of it like a wiki
Sure.
document or something sitting there. We have those in 4 categories: technical questions, intellectual questions, strategic questions, and emotional questions. And they're cataloged.
love
So
it.
think of a spreadsheet like column A, B, C, D.
Okay.
So let's just start with what's most people are safe with are intellectual questions.
Okay.
Those are things like, I'll be in your world. So Margaret's team sells to car dealers. I would say, so how many stores do you have?
Oh, okay.
Right?
Yep.
It's
I've
like
got 10
super basic.
stores.
How many new car copies a year, a month do you sell? Copies is inside talk for
Yeah.
car. They call
How
it
many
copy.
units?
How many units?
See, I love it. You're on top of all
Copy.
of this.
Of course, I
Yeah.
remember my auto people.
Okay,
So
cool.
the very intellectual questions.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the ownership structure like? Who owns what?
Right.
Partnership. Is
Do you have a
just real
BDC?
easy. Do you have a BDC?
How's your team
How many
set
people?
up?
That's it. That's
Got
it.
it.
What CRM you using? Using a dealer socket or whatever.
Right, exactly.
all this.
Good.
See?
Wow. Yeah, I'm very impressed. Well done.
Told you. Good old days. So that's where I start intellectual. Most people don't even get outside of intellectual.
Yeah, right.
They get very stuck there. Okay, do you want to do one of your check-in questions? You want me to keep
I do,
going?
yes, and I
yours,
wrote 'em down
please.
'cause I knew
Oh,
I'd
love
get
it.
too
I love
excited,
it.
'cause,
I know. You get the zoomies.
Right, I
Margaret's
do,
got
I
the
get-
personal zoomies.
Okay, so I think it's really important when we're listening to someone come back, and this goes beyond kind of those technical questions, so it probably going a little bit more emotional, whatever.
Yes.
I like to then almost kind of reinterpret it, or I'm going to say it back to them, and I'm doing that for a couple reasons. I'm making sure that they know I heard them,
Yes.
and also that I do really understand what's going on, right?
Good.
So I'll say that back, and then I'll say, did I miss anything?
Oh, beautiful.
Right? And you can do this in a conversation. You could also do it in an email.
I love that.
Right? Where you're like, hey, this and this and this, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Hey, did I miss anything? Just wanted to
Yes.
make sure, we're aligned here.
Yes.
Right? And that gives you the opportunity. You can miss a ton if you don't ask them outright. And
Yes.
they might not even be like, well, yeah, like if you don't prompt them, they won't offer it.
Right.
Oftentimes. So
They'll make an assumption you understood what they said.
Exactly.
Right?
Right.
I think it's so good. It's good validation. It's good empathy.
Yep.
Here's what I heard you say. Did I get that right, or did I miss anything?
Exactly. Yep.
That's
Either
exactly
one of
what
those.
we meant. Great. So you're good there. You win either way, right? They're like, yeah, no, you got it. Or they go, that's not totally what we meant. What we really meant was, glad I asked.
Exactly.
They were just understanding all that. I love that.
Yeah. Thank you.
So I'm going to go into another column.
Okay.
And this column is the strategic question.
Okay.
And this is something that salespeople, I think, are under-skilled at. So if
Mm-hmm.
you're listening to this, I want you to think about putting this column into your question bank, strategic questions. And it really needs to start with some element of a time-based horizon.
Okay.
So the first part of a strategic question tends to start with a timestamp. So it would sound like this.
Mm-hmm.
So when you look forward into 2025, how do you see the sales team, same, different, bigger, smaller? What is it going to look like next year and or in 2026?
Yeah. Good.
Okay.
Okay.
You have to tee up questions like that with the time, because as soon as I say, if you flash forward, what does it look like? The mental images start to occur.
Yeah.
Well, I would anticipate we're going to lose a couple, but we'll probably boom, or we'll do this or whatever, or what,
Yeah,
they'll tell
yeah.
you the answer.
Right. Right.
And so, or I might say, so can you talk to me and share with me what does your 3-year plan look like? That's
Okay.
a strategic question.
Great.
So you guys have been focused solely on auto. Great, you own auto. If you think strategy out in a year or two, what are the next 2 industries that you have your eye on for the future?
Yeah, we're
Hear
adding
those?
marine.
Those are
We're adding RV.
yeah, there
Yep,
you go.
cool.
Strategic questions time-based forward thinking.
I love it.
People
That's
don't
great.
ask those very much at all.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
I've got a different check-in question. So I
Okey
love this
doke.
because we've got different types of questions,
That's why we're
right?
doing
Like
this.
our
Yeah.
probing and then our
Yeah.
check-in throughout. So one that I had to learn this the hard way,
Yeah.
where I was vibing with somebody on a call and it was just like, yes, exactly.
Oh.
This is exactly what we need. And I'm hype. I'm like, oh my God, I love it. This is flowing. It's so easy. This is exactly what they're looking for. Long story short, we get off the call. I thought it was done and never was able to get in touch with them. Well, I think we were, but then it was like we went in a different direction.
Yeah.
And I was like, what
Huh?
happened?
Huh?
And I can't exactly say that I would have fixed it with this, but I should have asked the question because actually when someone is really like, yes, 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 have that be a little bit of a warning sign for you. That should be like a little bit of a trigger. Just slow down. You're giving a thumbs up. I love
Big
it.
thumbs up.
Slow it down, tap the brakes just a little bit, which is not natural to us as salespeople. We're like, all gas, no brakes. Let's
Yes.
go, baby. Tap them just a little bit and say, hey, I'm really excited with you. Like, it sounds like this is going really well. Let's just, for a second, check in. What could stand in our way?
Bravo.
What
Bravo.
could be an obstacle or two or three that we need to be thinking about right now?
It's fantastic.
So.
And I love that you said, because this is so common. Salespeople think it's great when they get affirmed.
Yes.
Right? They think it's
That's all
awesome.
we want. That's why
yeah.
we say
Oh, they
it.
were so in it. Oh my God,
Yeah.
Mark. She was just like, la, 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 like eating it up, right?
Yep.
And those don't tend to work out too well.
No.
If you look at Gong Stats, we love Gong Stats.
Uh-huh.
There's one of their stat things that they came out with was the win rates go up when buyers resist things.
Really?
Because it tells them, the theory there is that I'm thinking through this critically.
Yeah.
Now, what about this? Well, so co-video. So
Uh-huh.
do you have situations where people don't use it? Or what do you do with low adoption or that sort of thing?
See-
Well, what if right? You've got to explore that stuff. It's good, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just put me on the floor
I know.
at co-video.
I love-
Put me on the floor at co-video.
I would love you to get in there and just like watch you cook. You know what I mean? We're like, let's just let Brian go
I would
for
hate
a
it if
bit.
I outsold everybody. That
Oh
would
my
suck.
God,
I
no.
love it. Anyway, I
know,
wouldn't.
but that'd be,
I know I couldn't.
That'd be
but
such a fun little
that
like
would be so
experiment,
fun,
though.
You just can't lose. Anyway,
Yeah.
so I think it's really important to explore that with questions, the negative side of things.
Yes, and it's gonna feel gross. Like you
Yeah.
might even have like your sales manager might look at you and be like, "What are you doing? Stop. You know what I mean? Just say, "I'll send you the contract."
Right.
Don't do it.
Right.
You're setting yourself up. You're
No,
setting
don't.
them up, right? We want to have great intention. We want this to be a long relationship. We want to think about obstacles early so we can squash them early.
Yeah. So let me add a version of that.
Yeah.
So I call this sometimes a pushback question.
Okay.
Or pushback, and this has got to be sincere. So here's the deal: there are some sales methodologies out there
Okay.
that will use this as a technique to manipulate.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Can't do that. Don't do that. There's a way to do this that's not a technique to manipulate. It's got to be a very real thing.
Mm-hmm.
So as you're listening to someone talk, and it just sounds like, I'm feeling this with extreme authenticity. Like I just feel this way.
Yeah.
Then I say, what is wrong with the status quo?
Oh, okay.
What's wrong with just leaving it as it is?
Oh, that's a great question.
And if someone says, yeah, I mean, we've been doing pretty good. I'm
Yeah.
like, this may be a bigger lift than it's worth.
yeah.
If the status quo is good enough, you know what I mean? And you're thinking, man, it's going to be a pain in the ass to get them to start using the software. They're going to bitch
Totally.
and moan. And while you might get a lift, it may not be worth the squeeze.
yeah.
So I just want to explore that with you a little bit and get your thoughts on that. There's
my
a question,
gosh.
right?
I
Pushback
love that
question.
because then it also like they need to be asking themselves
Totally.
these
They
questions,
should.
but that's why we're there, right?
Yes.
As a consultant to help shepherd them towards the right
Yeah.
decision. And sometimes sometimes a no is the right decision.
Yes.
Right? And you get to
100%.
uncover that with that question.
Absolutely.
That's great. I like that.
Yes. Do you have more check-in questions?
I have a couple
Your little
check-in
phone?
questions.
Yeah, let's do them. I'm excited.
This is another one that I just think it's great to get people's buy-in, where you say things like, does that sound good to you? Or like, hey, you use this sometimes. Oh, actually, another one that you say,
What?
this isn't a question so much as you will say, it's okay to say no.
Oh, 100%.
Right?
To anything.
Right.
Yes.
And whatever it is, it might be like the next step in the process. It might be like, hey, whatever. But you might even say, hey, like I just laid this out. This is typically how, we do it. Does that sound good to you? And it's okay to say no.
Yes.
Right. So you're asking them a question because sometimes people will just say, does that sound good to you? And like knee jerk reaction. It's like when you ask someone how they're doing, you're like, great, how are you?
Right.
And they're like dog died. And you know
Yes.
what I mean? So instead of having that knee jerk reaction, I love that when you follow that up and you say, it's okay to say no
Yes.
or, whatever that might be.
I'll give another version of that too.
Yes,
This just
okay, see,
happened
this is
downstairs.
good.
So great. I love these things. Just so we do unscripted.
I know.
We literally didn't prep this at all. Is I always make it okay for them to either not know an answer or to not tell me if it's none of my business. Same
Oh.
thing. So contextualizing questions is important.
Mm-hmm.
So contextualize by saying, hey, might be none of my business, but it just helps me get a picture for what's going on. So tell me
Yeah.
what you can tell me. What is the succession plan like?
Yeah. Oh,
What's the
see?
exit strategy? Do you guys have an exit strategy or a liquidity event
That's
on the
good.
horizon? Now salespeople are terrified to ask questions like this.
Yeah.
I was just in a sales call with another visionary company owner.
Uh-huh.
He was with someone who's in the racing world, really famous, mostly famous that you would know. I'm not going to say the name.
Okay, tell me
And
afterwards.
He asked the person, again, just downstairs. He goes, "What's your succession plan for this?"
Wow.
You know?
Okay, yeah.
And I guarantee you, nobody has the guts to ask this person that.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
the guy answered it. Right? You know what I mean?
Wow,
But-
cool.
So the point is, you got to get over your fear. As long as you say, if none of my business, say so. But I'd
Yeah.
be curious to know, do you have an exit plan? Just
Yeah.
ask them.
I
Right?
love
And
it.
it could be, so if you're calling on someone that maybe doesn't own the place,
Mm-hmm.
you might say, somebody ask you a personal question. So you're the marketing manager for this, two store dealer group here.
Uh-huh.
What's next for you? What do you want to do career-wise? Do you ever want to be the GM or own the dealership?
Right.
People don't do that, but it's such a connecting question, right? Personally.
Yep.
It shows interest in others, and it really feeds your mind. And sometimes there's shit going on you don't even know.
Yep.
Like, actually, that's already in place. I'm being groomed to take over the store. I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. Good
I
to know.
like it.
Right?
That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love when you do qualifiers like that, though, because it just softens
Yes.
it for everyone. It makes me feel better about asking. It makes them feel better about taking it whatever direction they want
100%.
to. And like that just, it just feels nice.
So good.
So,
So
trying to see if I have
good.
any other like of those little check-in questions. Oh, this is funny. Okay, I would love your opinion on this because I
All
think
right,
this is
let's
a
do
really
it.
contentious question sometimes.
Oh.
People say it a lot. I also say it a lot, but I
Okay.
think people also can be offended by it when people say, "Does that make sense?"
Oh, yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
So I don't know why people are so hung up on this. People get all like, that's whatever they say, it's like demeaning to others, or it's like, I don't even get,
Yeah.
I just want to know the truth. Like, did I say something? And I would only ask that if I'm afraid of what I've said might be confusing.
Yeah,
Or,
totally.
Is that clicking? I might say, is that clicking for everybody? Everybody
Yeah.
good here?
Are we
good?
tracking?
Like,
Like,
it's
does
making
that-
sense. I
that
always
track?
say and I know people get all squirrely, like, you should never ask someone if that makes sense because it's,
Yes.
I know, is it like they think it's offensive to their intelligence or something? I'm
Yes, I think it's like they don't understand it or something. And it is a question that I ask a lot.
I do too.
And
all
I'm
the
like,
time.
I guess I could be if someone was like, red means stop. Does that make sense? You'd be like, well,
right.
fucking yeah, bro. I'm not
So when it's
from
green, you
another
press
planet.
the
Like,
pedal on the right.
So I do think you have to be careful because it can be, some questions can be ticks, where you're just like,
Yeah.
whatever, does that make sense? Blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, if you're asking a really dumbass question, you probably don't need to ask them if it makes any sense.
Right.
But I just wondered what your stance was on that because I think people have different opinions
Totally.
about it.
I'm absolutely 100% in on, if it just natural, it's natural.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I look
yeah.
at it, and I'm like the Mr. Miyagi. So one of my philosophies is it's the Mr. Miyagi from the original Karate
the
Kid.
original.
The original
80
Karate Kid.
Is it 84?
Pat Morita. I think
83,
it's a
84?
little later than that.
Okay.
It's a little bit later. I don't know if
Okay.
that's a good
Good
test
trivia.
question.
Good trivia question.
Where he says there's no such thing as a bad student, only a bad teacher. So that's how I teach. So
Okay.
I think if it's not coming across, it's not clicking, it's my fault, never theirs.
Yeah.
And that's my energy behind it. So if anyone ever wants to question that, they can, but I'm telling you where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
If I don't think I'm making sense, I'm like, is that making sense to everybody? I just want to make sure
Yep.
I'm reading faces. I'm like, I feel like I've lost you or something's not right.
Yep,
That's on me,
totally.
not them. That's how I think about that.
Okay, cool. That's good to
Faux
know. I was kind of wondering
show.
how you felt about
That's
it.
a good, yeah. And I would love to know why other people are so against it. I'm like,
Yeah,
I just don't
yeah.
get it. Okay, that was yummy.
I know,
Good
it
job,
was
huh?
yummy.
It was. I don't know why that just.
No,
slipped
I
out of
love that you said that. I recently described a soft pretzel. This soft pretzel
Oh,
was
beyond
so
yummy?
lovely
Yeah,
looking.
lovely.
And it
Oh.
came out and I described it. I was like, oh my God, this soft pretzel is so busty.
Busty, which it can be.
And it was. It was
can be,
busty.
right? That's what it
and
was.
every other
Everybody
table
knows
was
what
like,
you mean.
What are you like? Where did that come from? I was
Everybody
like, but
knows.
isn't it?
It is. And you
So-
look at it like, tell me this isn't busty, and you hold it. Do you
That
have a picture?
pretzel was busty. This
You have a picture?
episode was yummy. No, I don't have.
Get a picture of the
okay.
busty pretzel.
It was from Half Liter, by the way, for all of my
Oh,
indie
Half-
folks.
yeah, Half Liter's
Go to Half Liter,
fantastic.
get the soft pretzel. It's busty.
It is busty. We need a picture.
Yeah,
Movie
okay.
sponsored by Half Liter. So we did our
Okay.
live recording a few years ago.
That's right.
It's
Our
great.
very first live event.
Okay, that was our first double episode. We did pretty good, Margaret.
We did.
Time to go
See?
to our next meetings.
Okay. Bye.
Okay, see ya.